This content is for educational and informational purposes only and is not medical advice, a diagnosis, or treatment.
Welcome to Let's Talk Holistic Hope. I'm your host, Rachelle Wilson, a naturopath and wellness expert. And on this show, we get to the root of chronic illness and nagging symptoms with an enlightening mix of functional medicine, biblical wisdom, and straight-up common sense. Each week, I'll break down the mystery of your fatigue, brain fog, gut drama, weight gain, and hormone chaos, and show you simple ways to heal in body, mind, and spirit. Because God didn't design you to live stuck in survival mode. Grab your lemon water, friend. Let's get into today's episode. Have you ever gone through a season where your body just doesn't feel quite like your body anymore? Not in some dramatic medical crisis kind of way. Nothing alarming or urgent. Just a subtle sense that something feels different. Sleep isn't quite the same, even if you're technically getting enough of it. Your digestion feels a little less predictable than it used to, and your patience feels thinner, sometimes for no clear reason. Energy comes and goes in ways that feel hard to explain, and your mind feels busier, like it never fully powers down. What makes it confusing is that nothing obvious has really changed, yet something clearly has. Very often, quietly sitting underneath that entire experience is stress. And this is where many people hit a frustrating wall because at some point, they've usually been told, "You're just stressed." Well, that explanation isn't necessarily wrong, but for most people, it feels incomplete. It doesn't really explain why sleep changes, or why digestion becomes unpredictable, or even why energy suddenly feels less consistent. Even more importantly, it doesn't clarify what stress is actually doing inside your body. Stress isn't just simply an emotion. It's actually a physiological state. And when that state runs long enough, the body begins making adjustments that are far more logical than they first appear. Welcome back, my friend, to Let's Talk Holistic Hope. I'm Dr. Rachelle Wilson, and today I want to talk with you about stress, although maybe not in the way that you're used to hearing about it. Most conversations about stress stay almost entirely in the emotional world. We talk about feeling stressed or managing stress, but your body experiences stress through a very different lens. Your body doesn't categorize stress the way that your mind does. It isn't labeling experiences as work stress, family stress, or emotional stress. In the background, it's simply checking, is this safe or do I need to stay on guard? When you understand that, a lot of what your body has been doing starts to feel far less confusing. Because when your brain senses something it interprets as stressful, your nervous system responds incredibly quickly. This happens long before you consciously analyze the situation. When your body senses stress, your body starts making changes right away. It shifts what it prioritizes, so it redirects energy, and it adjusts how certain systems are running really before you've even had time to think through what's actually happening. That's not your body being dramatic. It's your body trying to protect you. One of the most important things to understand is that the body doesn't separate the physical threats from the emotional ones. To your nervous system, stress is simply stress. A tense thought or an uncomfortable conversation, a worry you carry quietly, or pressure that never quite turns off can all produce very similar internal responses. Your body responds to what it senses, not to the category you would call it. And that means you can't outthink stress. You can't reason your body into calm while you're still living in constant pressure. Your nervous system responds to patterns, not pep talks, which explains something many people experience but often struggle to describe clearly. That doesn't mean that something is off with you. It's just how the body works. It's how we were designed. When your stress response stays switched on, you can feel keyed up and exhausted at the same time. You know what I hear all the time? Someone sits down and says, I don't know, I just feel off. They're not describing some huge medical crisis, and they're not trying to be extra. It's more like they don't feel quite like themselves. But the harder they try to explain it, the more vague it sounds. So they almost feel uncomfortable even when saying it out loud. That's usually when I tell them, no, I actually understand exactly what you mean. And then we do something that surprises people. We don't immediately dive into symptoms. We start talking about life. And what's fascinating is how often stress quietly surfaces in that conversation. Sometimes they say it right away, almost like a disclaimer. Other times, it kind of reveals itself naturally as we talk about their days and their thoughts, their current life pace, and things that they've been carrying mentally and emotionally. Something I want to emphasize here is that stress isn't always loud. Often, stress looks like being the reliable one, the strong one, the one who doesn't complain, the one who just keeps handling it. And because that doesn't look like stress, we miss what it's doing under the surface. And that's one of the biggest misunderstandings people have about their own bodies. Most of us think of stress as something emotional, a feeling. But your body doesn't treat stress like a mood. It treats stress like information. Your nervous system is constantly scanning your internal and external environment. And beneath everything else, it's trying to answer a very basic question. Do I need to stay on guard right now? That question runs quietly in the background, whether you're aware of it or not. When something registers as pressure or perceived demand, your body shifts into a protective state. The shift isn't noticeable most of the time. It's subtle. A little more readiness, a little more vigilance, a little more internal tension. And the reason this matters is because the body can't fully prioritize the repair process while it believes protection is required. This is where people get confused because the effects don't arrive wearing a label. They don't come with a neat explanation or some obvious announcement like, hey, I'm stressed. Instead, they show up as things people experience every day, but rarely connect back to stress physiology. So here's something that often surprises people when they first hear it. Stress physiology isn't triggered only by real danger. It's triggered by a perceived threat. That threat can come from your thoughts just as easily as it comes from your circumstances. Your nervous system responds to signals of vigilance, not just physical threats. That's why modern stress is so exhausting. And this is where the conversation usually shifts in my office. Once someone understands that their body is responding rather than simply failing, the next question is almost always, okay, so what do I do with this? This is something the Bible has quietly pointed to long before modern physiology gave us language for it. The invitation to rest, the repeated emphasis on peace, and the reminder that we were never designed to carry the full weight of life alone all speak to something very deeply human. When Jesus says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened," it reflects an understanding of strain that goes far beyond spiritual illustration. A life lived in constant tension was never the design. Rhythms of rest, trust, and dependence were. When those rhythms are missing, the body often reflects that strain, not as punishment, but as a system responding to sustained pressure. There is also something profoundly calming about genuine trust. Not avoidance, but the internal shift that happens when a person no longer feels like everything in life depends entirely upon them. When that belief becomes real rather than theoretical, the nervous system often responds in measurable ways. The body softens, heightened alert and tension eases. Internal pressure actually begins to lower, which is why faith is never separate from this conversation. It directly influences the state the body believes it's living in. A lot of us carry life like it all rests on our shoulders, and that can feel responsible. It can even feel mature. But when you live that way long enough, your body always stays braced. Now, stress itself isn't bad. We were designed to have it. That stress response is what helps you react quickly if something truly dangerous is happening. It's what gets you out of the road when a car is coming, and it's what gives you strength in an emergency. That response is good. It's very, very protective. But we were never designed to live in that state all day, every day. Our bodies were built to return to peace once the danger passes. The stress response was meant to get you to safety, not to become your normal setting. When your body stays in that high alert mode too long, things start to misfire. Systems don't function the way they're supposed to. Repair gets delayed. Energy gets drained. It's not because your body's weak, but it's because it wasn't designed to run like that continuously. Trust isn't about checking out. It's about loosening your grip just enough to remember you're not the only one holding everything up. And when that internal pressure begins to ease, your body often follows. What surprises so many people is that the most helpful things are often very simple. For example, regular movement helps the body release built-up tension. Quiet time gives the mind a chance to slow down. Sleep becomes easier to support when your evenings have a calmer rhythm. The common thread is that these habits send the same message to the nervous system. You're safe enough to come down. Modern life, however, keeps activating survival processes without giving the body a true off-ramp. Most of us aren't being chased by anything physical, yet the nervous system still receives threat signals all day long through pressure, mental load, deadlines, financial strain, overly busy schedules, and the constant sense of just needing to keep up. Your body doesn't really care whether the stress is a tiger or an inbox. If your brain keeps sending the message that you need to stay on guard, your system stays in that protective state. Over time, the effects are usually predictable, even if they feel confusing in the moment. And I also want to gently challenge something here. A lot of people hear this and immediately think, okay, I just need to relax more. But relaxation isn't something that you can force. It's something your body allows when it feels safe enough. Safety is not just the absence of crisis. It's actually the presence of security and consistency. It's predictable rhythms. It's knowing that you don't have to solve everything tonight. It's ending your day without a screen in your face and urgency in your chest. It's giving yourself permission to not respond immediately to every message. It's recognizing that not every thought deserves your attention. Your nervous system is shaped by repetition. If you repeatedly tell yourself, "It all depends on me," your body will believe you. If you repeatedly remind yourself, "God is carrying this with me," your body begins to soften in response to that belief. That's not poetic language, it's physiology. Your body listens to the story that you live inside. And sometimes the most powerful shift is not in your calendar or your supplements or your routines. It's in the internal narrative that you allow to run unchecked. Are you living like everything rests on your shoulders? Or are you living like you are supported? Because those two internal perspectives create very different body states. And the beautiful part is this: you can begin shifting that posture today. Not by doing more, but by choosing where you place your trust. So instead of asking yourself, "What is wrong with my body?" a gentler question would be, "What has my body been responding to?" Because when protection mode runs long enough, one of the most common experiences people describe is fatigue. It's not like a complete collapse, just that steady exhaustion that so many people normalize. And before we move into fatigue in the next episode, I want to leave you with something practical. If your body has been living in protection mode, the solution isn't to force it into calm. You can't command your nervous system to relax any more than you can command your heart to slow down by yelling at it. And you can't just flip a switch and suddenly feel relaxed just because you decided that you should be. But what you can do is begin giving it different signals. Your nervous system responds to patterns. So instead of trying to fix yourself, start asking yourself, what signals am I sending to my body every day? If most of your day is urgency, multitasking, solving, carrying, pushing through, your body learns to stay on alert. But if you begin weaving in small moments where you let your shoulders drop, where you step outside for a few minutes without input, where you pray in a way that actually releases instead of rehashes, your system begins to learn something different. Not dramatic changes, but small, consistent ones. Your body adapts to the environment you give it. That means it can adapt in the direction of safety, too. Find moments in your day where you can intentionally downshift. Maybe that's a 10-minute walk without your phone. Maybe it's turning the lights down earlier in the evening. Maybe it's praying differently. Not rehearsing the problem again, but actually releasing it. Maybe it's choosing not to solve everything at 10:30 at night. Your body responds to patterns. If most of the signals it receives are pressure, urgency, and responsibility, it adapts accordingly. But when it starts receiving steady signals of safety, even small ones, it adapts to that too. This isn't about perfection, but it is about direction. And often the first step toward healing isn't adding something new, and it also doesn't start with adding more effort. It starts with removing just enough internal pressure for your system to remember what calm feels like. And that's exactly where we're going next in episode 7, so you don't want to miss it. Before we close today, I want to pause with you for just a moment. If you've been feeling tired and stretched thin, or like your body simply isn't responding the way that you wish it would, I want you to remember something important. Your body is not falling apart. It is responding to the environment it believes it's living in, and God understands that design completely. Before I pray, I want you to consider something quietly. If your body has been protecting you for months or years, what would it actually feel like to let it stand down? Lord, I pray for the listener who feels worn down, frustrated, or discouraged by what they're experiencing physically. Replace fear with understanding, tension with peace, and pressure with trust. Help them release burdens that were never meant to be carried alone. Settle the noise, calm the mind, and restore the deep internal safety that allows healing to unfold. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. If this episode resonated with you, I want you to sit with it this week. Don't rush to fixing anything. Just start noticing. Notice when your shoulders tighten. Notice when your breathing shortens. Notice when your mind starts carrying more than it needs to. Awareness is not weakness. It's power. It's wisdom. And most of the time, healing doesn't begin with adding something new. It begins with recognizing what your body has been trying to say all along. If this helped you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss episode 7, because we're going to talk about fatigue and how protection mode eventually turns into exhaustion. You don't have to figure this out alone. You can connect with me at www.therenewedhope.com or email me at letstalk@theholistichopepodcast.com. I'll also leave links in the description for more ways to connect. Between now and next week's episode, take a breath and let your body come down just a little. Until next time, keep choosing hope, keep trusting Jesus, and keep healing from the inside out. Ooh, that was good. Thanks for hanging with me today. If this episode brought you clarity or hope, would you do me a quick favor? Take 30 seconds to share it with a friend. Leave a 5-star rating or write a short review. It helps this show reach more people who need real answers too. Want to keep the conversation going? Come hang out with me on Facebook at Renewed Hope Holistic Health. The link's in the show notes. Or better yet, let's talk. Book a free 15-minute discovery call and let's see how I can support your health journey, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Until next time, keep your faith strong, your gut happy, and your hope holistic.